I'm an evangelical.
Evangelical? Protestant?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which version? Because there are some different versions.
I'm part of the EFCA, the Evangelical Free Church of America. Yeah.
And what's the difference between that one and the other ones?
It depends on which one you're talking about. I mean, evangelicals use sometimes to just describe like non-denominational, which can vary, all over the place. But we we definitely hold to like a biblical inerrancy, a solid biblical sex ethic, obviously like the essentials of the faith, like the Trinity and different things like that. You can go look it up on the website of the doctrines that we think are core in order to join the EFCA, and then the doctrines that we can kind of disagree on.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about Zionism?
I don't know if they have, I don't think there is a defined position on that for the EFCA.
Really? I'm surprised for evangelicals.
Well, I mean, just generally evangelicals trend that direction. But the question is with the denomination of what beliefs are required to be a part of the denomination. Mm-hmm. And like for Catholicism, holding to Vatican II would be part of that.
Okay, I get it. It's gonna be, I'm gonna have an evangelical purity testing me on my own Catholicism right here.
I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I'm just curious because this is like this is obviously something that's getting discussed a lot right now. Mm-hmm. It's the split between Zionism. The understanding, and this is something that came up afterwards, after the last Jubilee debate we did, of some folks were telling me that Zionism comes through the Jews. No, salvation comes through the Jews. And I explained to them basic Catholic doctrine that salvation is through Christ. It came from the Jews, which is what Paul says. And then became a whole discussion, and I got clipped out of context, and that went, a little semi-viral on this Zionist page on Instagram. Other people from Jubilee, when I actually saw it, they were like, "Hey, I saw you were debating all these Zionists. What happened?" So, I'm just curious to understand like all of these positions, because to me it sounds, and I'm not approaching this like from a judgmental place. It just sounds foreign to me to think that. From what I've been seeing in some debates, some people claim that salvation is through Israel, salvation is through the Jews. It's like things that just aren't biblical to me. So That's why. I mean, what is your branch of evangelicalism? Evangelicalism?
Yeah, evangelicalism. Well, I mean, again, I think evangelicals disagree on this issue, so there's no hard stance. So I'm not going to like speak on behalf of all evangelicals here, but my personal belief, salvation is through Christ alone. I mean, that's a Protestant sola. So now I think maybe the verse we were talking about, if I remember it correctly,
it's from Romans, yeah.
that talked about salvation came first to the Jews, then to the Greeks, right? And what Paul is doing in Romans is he's trying to expand salvation because, the Jews at the time believed, okay, you have to be, in order to have salvation, you have to be part of Israel. And basically Paul is expanding that to like, no, Gentiles can be part of this.
Yeah.
But then he says, but Gentiles, remember, salvation was first to the Jews. Like the Jews were God's chosen people. Then
I
they
think
were to you.
That's, if I remember correctly, that was because I think Riley brought that up about the Jews being the chosen people, and then it became, and then I think that's where it was Nick Mattel who brought that up.
Yeah.
It's funny because just about a week and a half later, I was at Daily Mash at one of the churches I go to.
Okay.
And he was talking specifically about that passage. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I mentioned in that video that Nick was taking that out of context. So I'll tell you exactly what my priest said in his homily. That's one of the things I love about this priest. He goes at Holy Family Church in Glendale. So he is very versed historically, all this stuff. But what he was saying was that specific section of Romans is more of a manual. He is speaking to the apostles and to other folks who are proselytizing. He's giving them tips on how to more quickly convert to Christ. And part of the reason why he mentions the Jews is because so he saw the Jews as the primary target for conversion at the time because they already knew the entire Torah. They knew all the prophecies, and they understood the Messiah and the coming of the Messiah. And some of them had already heard Jesus' story. So he said it would be easier to walk them through all the prophecies and through all of the Torah instead of having to teach them from scratch. That way you could just convert them more quickly. So to focus on them, whereas when you have the Greeks, they were polytheistic, right? They had, in some instances, I mean, you even have Paul walking into, I forget what temple, I think it was in Corinthians, that he sees like a multitude of statues and one that's empty, and he,
and
he
Acts,
says,
the
one
sermon
that's
on Mars
empty.
Hill.
Exactly. And the one that's empty, that's Christ. It's empty because you guys, he says something to that effect, that you guys were waiting for him, or...
It was a statue dedicated to like the unknown gods, essentially. And Paul uses that as a tie-in to say, what you say to be unknown, I now proclaim to you as known. And then he preaches Christ in the gospel.
Yeah. So that was further context on what Nick was bringing up. And I thought it was interesting because Nick kept using that specific passage to argue that the specialness of Jews, at least that's what I understood, versus, and I also have a different interpretation of that because, I mean, I've seen Rabbi Shmuley's daughter and like other Jews talk about the specialness, and it almost feels like a participation trophy type of thing of like, oh yeah, you're a chosen person, you're great. No, I see that as just like a great responsibility, right? That you, because you've been chosen for the Messiah to come through you, and you historically, you see it through the Torah, you have this conflict of breaking with God and God reapproximating you to Him. There's this responsibility. It's actually a great, I would say, a great spiritual debt, because you have the straight and narrow is even more narrow because you have this chosen aspect, right? So. Essentially, Christ broke that ethnic bond, which is also something else that came up with Nick, and I don't think he agreed with me on this, but the Catholic view is that Christ broke the ethnic bond of chosenness, and now you are chosen by being a member of the church, right? By being a follower of Christ.
Sure.
And Daniela Bloom actually pushed back on me, saying that's replacement theology. Well, no, that's not actually replacement. That's fulfillment. And that's you know.
Well, I mean, I'll just be frank. I'm not like a Christian Zionist.
Yeah.
I don't hold to that.
Well, I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't tell because
normal, regular.
At that
Zionist.
point, I was getting so dogpiled outside of that studio, and you were kind of just standing there like laughing. What's Micah doing?
Yeah, because it was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny to see all the Zionists. They were like bringing out their phones and filming me and like pop, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not like really fully decided on that issue yet.
Really?
So yeah, I mean, I think I see pros and cons to both, and scriptures that need explaining for both. So
as far as the chosenness of Israel, or
and just Israel's role in so like not salvation, but like the end times and how that all comes together.
But see, don't you think that a lot of the verses that get referred to as like or labeled as or directed to justify the modern state of Israel or to explain it, don't you think that that's just God pointing to Israel the person?
Israel the person?
Yeah.
Like Jacob.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What verse are you talking about?
I mean, most verses when you read them, especially the ones that are brought up by
Zionists. I'm not like a Christian Zionist, so like I can't really tell you.
Yeah. Well, I wish
either
I had
way,
here to just search them up. But
either way, you should have Nick come down and have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
So okay.
One to.
Well, I guess we agree on
position.
that. It is something. I mean, you do see the fracture that it's caused in the conservative movement. Then, what do you think about that?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think there's legitimate crazies on both sides.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Honestly, I think the Groypers are crazy. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree with that too.
there's a legitimate. I think you're a little crazy on something.
You think I'm a little crazy?
I'm not gonna lie.
What?
Yeah,
What am I crazy on?
Well, women's right to vote.
Wait.
I'm just saying that was our first conversation.
You got to bring this into context. So we were at this pro-life conference for Lila Rose. We were. It was you,
that
me,
context
and
really
what's
helps.
his name? Jorge.
Yeah,
Jorge
George.
was there.
Yeah.
George. Jorge was there. We were debating. We were debating the 19th Amendment, and I got to be honest with you. I was trolling a bit. These guys took it seriously.
You were trolling a bit. I don't think Riley was trolling, bro.
Well, I mean, what you're trying to hold me accountable for what Riley said?
Well, I'm just saying Riley wasn't trolling, and then you're hopping in defending him. Why would we think that you're trolling?
I wasn't necessarily defending him. I was explaining.
Okay.
So this is what a lot of people do sometimes, and this is just happened at a recent debate. In fact, Jubilee clipped me out of context, making it seem like I defended genocide with Andrew Jackson.
Okay.
So I seek clarity when I see somebody take what somebody's saying out of context and just blowing it out in an inflammatory manner to paint the person in a negative light instead of actually hearing out their argument. I seek clarity.
Okay.
That's happened several times, not just with this debate that we're talking about the 19th. In this specific debate, you see me actually asking questions. Same thing with this debate where I got clipped out of context.
Yeah.
I was genuinely asking Nick questions because he presented himself as a cradle Catholic. I find out 10 minutes later into the discussion of me just asking him questions that he's actually a Noahide and he actually rejects Christ. So, you know, I'm genuinely, when I hear a point of view or I hear something, I'm genuinely curious to just unpack it and understand it. And then
we
once
can
I
talk to
understand
Riley and George. I mean, you seemed pretty much like you were defending repealing the 14th Amendment.
19th.
19th, sorry.
Repealing it? Why would that benefit me in any sort of way?
Why would that benefit you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why that would benefit you.
What case did I make? What case did I make?
I mean, you and Riley were both talking about, I mean, I think like IQ or intelligence and
I think the specific thing
emotional, that women are more emotional.
I think that was Riley making those points. What the point that I did add, because I think that the question, so Riley was making those points. I think that there was a question about the legitimacy of his points. And I think that what I interjected was that scientifically, women just have less neurons than men. That's not to say that they're less intelligent. I just pointed to a fact. That's it. That doesn't mean that I was defending repealing the 19th or that I was defending the 19th Amendment. I think it's actually a very nuanced thing. I have a very nuanced point of view as far as like election law and how both parties use the spreading out of the electorate in order to further fracture us, divide us, and break us into voting blocks that they can manipulate.
Well, I'll just ask you straight up. Should the 19th Amendment be repealed?
No, absolutely not. Shouldn't be repealed.
Okay.
No. Do I see a case for...
I'm glad you...
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. Democrats are currently trying to push to lower the voting age to, I think, like 16.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we can clearly see how that's bad, right?
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, I think that if you look back even as far back as Plato, there's an understanding that unfettered democracy can lead to mob rule, which is some of what we're experiencing right now, right? We have a constitutional republic. We don't have a full, clear, raw democracy because the founders understood that it could lead to mob rule. In fact, they rejected it. In fact, part of the constitutional, the discussions during the constitutional assembly
convention,
it was they actually considered a monarchy for a bit because they wanted a strong federal government, right? It was part of the discussion.
Who considered a monarchy?
Pretty sure it was it Hamilton or Madison, the notes they took down? I don't know specifically who made an argument for that.
I don't know about that one, dude. Well, especially with definitely not Hamilton. I mean, Hamilton wrote most of the federal papers, which argued for our specific form of government.
But he argued for a very strong central government. That's one of the things he argued for.
So,
but
that
authority
was very strong for them back then. I mean, I don't think Hamilton would have liked how strong.
Well, they were
federal
talking about a
government is
strong
right
central
now.
authority, and they debated how strong that authority should be. If it should be like a king,
compared to the previous government that they had set up.
Yeah, it could, because the Confederacy.
I don't think they were ever considering a monarchy, especially given that they had just left a monarchy.
We can look that up if you want.
You can. I doubt that they were
it was
considering
something
a monarchy.
they were structuring the executive, and they wanted to understand. Here, let me actually look that up.
I mean, there's like George Washington specifically did.
I mean, they heavily opposed it. I'm not saying that they did, but I think that in the debate of seeking out a way to structure that central executive authority, they considered a king. Here, let's see. During the Constitutional Convention, did the founders ever consider a monarchy as a proper way to structure the executive?
You need a podcast producer in here.
I did have one. The guy's freaking out because he was a producer on AFU. And yes, during and around the time of the Constitutional Convention, there were real discussions about whether the new American government needed a stronger executive that resembled aspects of monarchy, though an actual hereditary king was never seriously close to adoption by the convention itself. So it was largely because the Articles of Confederation failed, because it was they created such a weak government.
Correct. But the way you're phrasing it, Dennis, you're saying they considered a monarchy.
It says it right here. Yes, the only thing is they didn't consider a hereditary monarchy. And I think part of the reason why they didn't consider a hereditary monarchy.
Even what you just read right there from ChatGPT.
It says
yes, they consider aspects that looked like aspects of a monarchy.
Exactly. They considered aspects of it, which is...
if you want to call a president a king, I mean, that's ridiculous. But if you want to say he's the king and that, he rules over his branch, well, then, yeah, of course.
Well, to me, it sounds like they just rejected the hereditary aspect of a monarchy purely because John Locke had already completely done away with that idea. But that's why they ultimately landed.
They did not want a tyrant ruling the country. They did not want one person.
A monarchy isn't just necessarily just straight up tyranny. Yes, in the form that America was experiencing it then, it was tyranny, but a monarchy doesn't strictly imply tyranny.
Well, the English monarchy has evolved over time, sure, but Hamilton. They specifically, they were not looking for a monarchical system.
Here, I can actually read directly. I was right about Hamilton. Because of that, some founders wanted a much stronger executive. Hey, you asked for sources.
And your sources, ChatGPT, which is known for getting things wrong, but okay.
I can ask it to fact check afterwards. Because of that...
You're going to ask the AI to fact check the AI. Okay.
Because of that, some founders wanted a much stronger executive. Figures like Alexander Hamilton openly admired parts of the British system. Hamilton proposed a president elected for life during good behavior, very similar to a monarch, obviously not hereditary, which effectively resembled an elective monarch without hereditary succession. Oh, there you go. Hamilton argued...
Again, aspects of a monarchy.
Yeah, it seems like they wanted... a strong executive,
but that was
but also
that's one founder. That's one founder. To say that overall,
the founder that you cited, and that obviously had one of the greatest effects on, and one of the people who spoke the most.
He had a huge effect, but he wasn't a king. Like, not everything he believed in went.
Yeah, it even goes. I thought this was possible, but it says. There were even rumors and fringe proposals outside the convention itself suggesting inviting a European prince to become an American monarch, including speculation around Prince Henry of Prussia. Historians debate how serious these proposals ever were, but they reflected the uncertainty of the era.
There you go.
But look, here's the thing. They wanted a strong executive. That's obvious. They wanted a strong federal authority.
In some regards, yes.
Yeah. That was the point. I mean, obviously, I like the system that we have much better than any sort of monarchy. I can't imagine being British and paying for and having like a parliamentary system and still supporting a monarchy.
Yeah,
basically a symbolic monarchy. It just sounds it sounds stupid. But yeah, how do we get here? We just went off.
I don't know, dude.
We were talking about repealing the 19th. You were for repealing the 19th.
I'm not. Repealing the 19th.
Very much so.
Just straight up
I heard you
lies.
say it 2 times in a row. I was like, okay, Micah, whatever, dude.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're distancing yourself from Riley on that one.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. This is how we got into this. We were talking about how the government basically expands the electoral base in order to be able to further divide people and create different voting blocks that are perpetual voting blocks and creating different systems. I mean, would you agree that welfare is something that helps, for example, the Democrats hold on to a specific voting block? Yeah. So it's a tool. You break people, divide and conquer. I do think that we should reanalyze the way that our democracy is operating, because obviously it's cannibalizing itself. There's a reason why you see men largely voting Republican and women largely voting Democrats, right? And a lot of it is issue-based. A lot of it is appeal, what kind of appeal both parties are sending out.
Sure.
So I don't think it's an effective way of having a representative system, right? And that's ultimately, I don't think the founders intended for it to operate like this.
Operate like what?
Where it's basically mob rule.
How is it basically mob rule?
I mean, you have the most extreme sides of both parties. Obviously, the middle ends up choosing the candidate at the end, but you have the extremes of both sides of the party controlling the discourse, controlling pretty much the primaries, because the most extreme sides are the ones that come out and vote, and then the middle is forced to choose whatever gets chosen past the primary, right? And that's why you see the common strategy in primaries is you run more extreme in the primary, and then you run towards the middle in the election. Right. And that operates for both sides.
Which is why you're trying to be a groyper right now.
No, absolutely not. I'm actually running relatively moderate.
Yeah.
I am. I get a lot of Democrats to support me. I get a lot of independents who support me.
Okay.
A lot of Republicans support me too. Obviously, the Jewish coalition has a little bit of an issue with me because I'm very critical of Israel, but that's another question. That's the reason why they're spending, AIPAC is spending like $13 million to unseat Massey. That's something that should not be allowed to happen, that I'm vehemently against.
Why?
You mean a private interest representing a foreign government?
Hold on.
Spending tens of millions of dollars to unseat Massey?
Hold on. One, they're not representing a foreign interest. Okay, then that would be illegal. If they're
using a loophole.
They're not. One, you have no evidence besides, they align with Israel's interests. Well, yeah, duh. They're the American Israel PAC.
And what's the only thing preventing them from registering under FARA?
What do you mean?
What's the only thing preventing the AIPAC from registering under FARA?
What is it?
It's mostly run, if not completely run, by dual Israeli citizens. So
do
because
you have
the claim
source on that?
Yeah,
that it's mostly run by dual citizens.
Yeah, the claim is that because they're American as well, that they should not be registered under FARA.
Well, yeah, because they're American citizens.
But they're mostly dual Israeli.
I mean, I don't know what source you're getting that from, but either way, as an American citizen, they have rights, and they should be able to use their money how they want to. And to restrict, put a law on the books of they can't do this anymore, you are now restricting their speech.
Well, here's the thing. I understand
if you want
to
be consistent, then you need to go after all lobbying groups, not just AIPAC. But I think there's a really good case to be made of no, actually,
I agree with that. Actually,
that's restricting speech.
I agree with that. And look, to be just completely fair, I've been equally critical of Pam Bondi, who was a registered lobbyist for Qatar, being placed in the DOJ, primarily because the moment that she got into the DOJ, one of the first things she did was weaken FARA oversight. As a former lobbyist, that's insane to me. Sure. That's one of the first things she did.
Sure.
There's actually no published data on AIPAC.
There we go.
So there's no credible way to know the percentage. So they don't even publish that. There are some.
Right, because that would be like a huge violation of privacy.
It says there are some, but you can't know because they don't publish that data.
Of course, there's going to be dual citizens that are part of AIPAC. That obviously.
But look, here's the thing. You don't think there should be limitations on lobbying groups, especially if they're mostly representing? I mean, if we know for a fact.
Well, what kind of limitations are you talking about?
If they're mostly just lobbying for foreign policy, I think that's against.
That's their right. Their right as American citizens.
Yeah, but why are we?
Like, what are you to say? No, they can't give their money to a candidate that's agrees with them on foreign policy.
Because representatives should represent the interests of Americans first. How are Israel's interests aligned with American interests?
Well, hold on. Now you're getting away into another debate. Focus on the issue here.
Okay.
Why can't Americans spend their own money on
to lobby on behalf of Israel?
Not to lobby on behalf of Israel, but if they want to lobby on behalf of Israel, shouldn't they have the right to spend their money that way?
That's fine. I just think it's an issue when it's almost exclusively what they do, and when you have people like Ted Cruz who get an extraordinary amount of AIPAC money, saying that they have almost basically saying, I'm not going to say he said this for sure because there's room for for him to wiggle his way out of it, but he recently went viral for basically saying that he's the most pro-Israel representative in the Senate. I mean, how? You should be the most pro-American.
I mean, I think he would say that he is pro-American, but that he thinks the relationship and allyship with Israel is so important that that's something to be proud of, that he is the most pro-Israel senator. So, I mean, I don't see what the problem is. I'm sure if we had Ted Cruz here and said, are you for America first?
Oh, he would say he is.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But so then the question is, and it's insane to me that we always jump to motive. We always jump to like, oh my gosh, they're just, the Israel lobby controls them, or they're just out for Israel's interests. Or
but you see the correlation, right, between the millions of dollars and him saying something like that.
I see the correlation with all lobbyist groups with the people that they support. Like, surprise, surprise, lobbyist groups support people that hold to the views of the lobbyist group. Like, and this idea that like lobbyist groups just like pick candidates out and pay them a bunch of money and then they do whatever they want. I mean, like that's kind of an absurd idea.
But we're getting these testimonies from people within Congress. Massey himself said that, not just Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, several other people have said that when you get in the Congress, you get your own AIPAC handler. It's the only lobbying group that does that, right? I think it's extraordinary when you become very critical of Israel, of Israeli policy, of foreign policy, American foreign policy in relation to Israel, you vote against every measure to send weapons and money to Israel. All of a sudden, they dump $13 million into funding your opponent so they can primary you.
Right. Surprise, surprise. The American Israel PAC does not want to have candidates that are not pro-Israel. Like, this is not surprising to me. Like, you're dropping this like this is like some crazy revelation.
I'm not saying it like it's some crazy revelation. I'm just discussing this because I think a lot of people are concerned because what does that say? If an interest has that much, if a special interest has that much money that they can sway our elections just based on a single issue. And that issue isn't even like, oh, drill, we want to drill in the country. We want to, it's not like vegan, whatever. It's not EV policy. No, it's a foreign government. It's a foreign government that just recently, according to multiple of our elected officials, that being Marco Rubio, Tom Cotton, Speaker Johnson, entangled us into an unnecessary war with Iran.
No, you're taking Marco Rubio's words out of context.
Well, this was an April 21st Department of State.
He clarified.
Memo.
Did you not see what he clarified with?
Yeah, but
afterwards?
later, like a week and a half later, there was a Department of State memo that said that we literally got involved in this war on behalf of Israel's defense. I can read exactly what the statement said.
You can go ahead and read the exact statement, but Marco Rubio clarified that it was already going to happen, that he said it was going to happen.
Yeah, because Israel was going to attack.
No, he was saying that the United States had made up its mind that it was going to happen because negotiations weren't going anywhere. Now, as far as like when it was going to happen, Israel wanted to do it sooner rather than later. So in that way, they forced the United States' hand, but it was already going to happen.
So I'll read this for you. Epic Fury is only the latest round of an ongoing international armed conflict with Iran. As the United States has explained in multiple letters to the UN Secretary Security Council, including most recently on March 10th, my birthday, by the way, the United States is engaged in this conflict at the request of and in the collective self-defense of its Israeli ally, as well as in the exercise of the United States' own inherent right of self-defense. But how are we defending ourselves?
Wow, that's really interesting.
So the qualification with that comes from the statements that Rubio himself said and Speaker Johnson said, which was Israel was going to attack, and that was going to put our bases in the region in danger. Okay, we were going to get bombed because that's usually what happened. And what happened?
Again,
we got our radar systems blown out. We got our bases blown out. Our bases took so much bombing that our troops were literally forced to hide in hotels that then started getting bombed. Okay.
Okay, Dennis. Again, Marco Rubio clarified we were going to attack. That had been decided. Negotiations with Iran had gone nowhere. They weren't willing to give up their nuclear program. They were being stubborn and wanting to continue to build the destroyed nuclear program. And so we were going to attack. Now, he again clarified as far as the timing of it goes, of like when it happens, Israel forced our hand in the sense of that they said, hey, we're going to attack. We'd rather do this sooner rather than later. And then the U.S. is like, okay, well, if Israel's going to attack, we might as well do it all together. So,
hey, let's just get embroiled in a war. Israel's going to do it anyway. This rogue
embroiled. No, they had already decided that it was going to happen. And this is straight from the Secretary of State. Like, this isn't like...
Can you cite when he said that? Was that before or after this memo?
That was literally the day after he had initial comments.
So that was before this memo came out.
Maybe it was before this. Yeah, I don't know exactly when that memo. It seemed
like that memo came out April 21st.
But the memo literally says itself that it's with Israel's interests and U.S. interests.
Well, yeah, our interests.
The whole argument is that United States interests and Israel's interests align on this issue.
Yeah, well, our interest was primarily, look, just putting it very simply, our interest was our bases are about to get bombed into oblivion because Israel has made up its mind to go and bomb Iran.
Dennis, that's not the stated interest that literally the whole Trump administration has said.
That's literally what Marco Rubio said.
Dude, the whole...
Will you pull that up?
No, the stated interest that Trump keeps saying over and over and over again is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That is the stated interest. That is the United States
but
interest.
Here's the thing, and I understand that, and I
really?
I do. I mean, I never said I don't.
Okay.
I never rejected the stated interest. All I'm saying is that this rush to go into war was largely because of Israeli aggression in the region. So
rush to go into war.
It was a
way
rush.
To phrase it.
It was a rush.
I mean, it wasn't a rush. It was very strategic.
Israeli strike.
Dennis, how many U.S. troops have died?
Last I checked, it was like maybe a dozen.
Nobody
should die.
Amazing.
Nobody should have died in this because this was absolutely unnecessary.
absolutely
not a single
unnecessary.
Person, yes. How come we were able to blow those we did the bunker buster bombs with B2s. Now all of a sudden, not only are we just decapitating their entire government, funny enough, Mossad tried to foment an insurrection in Iran for 7 months. This is the Times of Israel reported on this. Okay, for 7 months they failed. All of a sudden, we have to go in there, decapitate the government. Our president is the very next day on TV saying, come on, guys, do that revolution. They never do it. Then we're caught up in this like, oh my God, they're never going to overthrow the government. In fact, there are 1 million people going out and protesting in favor of their government. And then we're having to fly out 10,000 more troops. We're moving a bunch of warships over. Okay, because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, because they're bombing the hell out of Israel. They're bombing the hell out of our bases. Okay?
They're not bombing the hell out of it. I mean, I literally just read, I'm pretty sure this from the Pentagon, that we've destroyed 80% of their naval capabilities, 90% of their air capabilities, 90%
most of their air
capabilities.
Most of their air capabilities are underground. In fact, it was kind of embarrassing to see we were bombing paintings on airstrips. Here's the thing.
That's a lie, but okay, go ahead.
No, it actually happened. Here's what Rubio actually said, the direct quote. He said, we knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. He then said the U.S. acted preemptively because officials believed waiting would lead to higher American casualties in our bases. So purely, if Israel hadn't attacked, we wouldn't have a reason to preemptively self-defend.
If at this time, again, Marco Rubio said that the next day he came out and clarified his comments.
That was a clarification.
Which is why, I mean, like you were just complaining. No, you were just complaining earlier about how you get clipped all the time and taken out of context when this is exactly what's happening to Marco Rubio.
Okay, give me the walk back. It's saying that he walked it back. Let's see exactly, and we'll quote it. Marco Rubio's walk back was essentially him clarifying that he did not mean Israel forced the United States into war, only that the timing of the operation was affected by what Israel was preparing to do. He said this was a question of timing, not the question of intent. No matter what, ultimately this operation needed to happen. The president made a decision that negotiations were not going to work.
Yes.
So at the same time, Donald Trump publicly rejected the idea that Israel pulled America into the conflict and said, no, I might have forced their hand. Either way, dumb decision.
There we go. So we've made some progress.
Well, I mean, isn't it interesting how they like retract, they walk back the statement? It's just like, I don't know. Look, here's the thing.
No, clarified. And as you just said, you're taken out of context all the time with clips. Okay, you should be able to relate to this, Dennis, of like, hey, like, okay, Marco Rubio was clipped. He then later clarified what he was meaning.
I mean, it's a little bit of a different clip because it's like, it's a 2-minute stretch.
Oh, okay.
It's a 2-minute stretch. No, listen.
When it's Marco Rubio getting
clipped, it's a false equivalence of what you're doing. It's a false equivalence of what you're doing because you're talking about a 2-minute stretch, unedited. The clip that we're talking about that I got clipped out of context is like literally I say, and then like it's like full of cuts to make it seem like I said something I didn't even say in the first place, which is dishonest. But I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
I just look. Here's the thing. And I'm not the only one who believes this. Like Trump lost a ton of support. Okay, he's obviously MAGA. MAGA has like the Republicans, just like Democrats. A lot of times we coalesce around our president. I still support our president. Mm-hmm. I still think he's making the best decisions he can be making. But I am just critical of getting involved in conflicts needlessly because one of the things that he said when he was running was no new wars. He was highly critical of Bush going in 2015. Obviously, things can change, but I still think that without having a very clear, objective reason to engage in a war and have Americans die,
objective reason that he says over and over and over again, Iran cannot have.
Why not use the bunker buster bombs again?
Because
that was a clean in and out.
No, because ultimately it didn't come down to whether we destroy their capabilities. It came down to whether they're going to just keep on rebuilding. Because Trump is going to
blowing it up.
Unfortunately, we have Democratic presidents that signed something like the JCPOA, which
didn't that get repealed?
Trump pulled us out. Yeah, thank God he pulled us out. But
so again,
it was sending
why not
billions
use
of
the
dollars.
B2s? Send in the B2s.
Because, Dennis, like if Trump wasn't our president, let's say Kamala would have won.
No, it would have been a disaster.
It would have been a disaster, and Iran would have had a nuclear weapon.
Already?
Absolutely.
That quickly?
Absolutely. I
really?
Well, they
are
would
you
be,
pulling a
they would be on
in
track.
2 weeks? In 2 weeks, guys.
I mean, the testimony
Tomorrow.
from Tulsi Gabbard was that they were months away from a nuclear
weapon. Yeah, but this was like a week after saying that, no, they weren't. Actually, guys, never mind. They were. Oh, no, actually, they weren't. No, oh, okay.
I mean, we know that they had the enriched uranium at 60%, which is a few weeks away from the 90% threshold.
On things that, and I don't want to be pulling like the H card, like or whatever, but I grew up, I remember very clearly when Rumsfeld and all the Condoleezza Rice and all these other guys were justifying the war in Iraq. They have WMDs, like it would change every day, the narrative, where it was, how it was. Okay, so I'm skeptical of these changing narratives of saying one thing one day, the next day looks back for the partner. You get a call from that.
Well, okay, so
I'm going to bomb Kansas City tomorrow if you guys don't change.
So Dennis, have you ever lied in your life? In your entire life?
Listen,
in your entire life, have you ever lied?
Yes, I mean.
Okay. So hold on.
I try to avoid lying, by the way.
Sure. No, but you have. You're an imperfect person,
yes.
right? Okay, so you've lied before. Does that therefore mean that you're lying right now?
No, I'm debating this.
Oh, correct. So, just because intelligence has been incorrect, and even if they've lied in the past, does not mean that they're lying or incorrect now.
But
we need to have evidence for claims.
You're creating cover for this like
I'm not creating cover. I'm
cover for this shifting
I'm telling you, back up your claim.
So here's the thing. My backup claim is the following. It's seeing them tell me one thing, and then the very next day when they get pushback, changing the narrative. Well,
I know you're a liar, so you're probably lying right now. See, that's what I'm saying. It's the same logic, Dennis.
No, it's not.
It is.
Here's the thing.
It is.
It's a little different when you're a public elected official and you have to see the lie would actually be is saying I never lied. That would be a lie. The fact that I admitted to it actually adds authenticity to whatever claim I'm making.
Sure, but
just to finish off and wrap up that point, the thing is that the shifting narrative when it's convenient, when the story doesn't catch, optics are a big thing in politics.
Okay, when it's convenient. When it's convenient, that again is another claim that you have to back up, as opposed to just intelligence reports changing. Question, Dennis: Can intelligence change? Can intelligence change? Because they're humans. This is a human institution, man. Like, of course, they're not going to get it right all the time.
Well, I'm trying to hold my elected officials to a higher standard.
That's fine. That's fine.
We're talking about
you can hold
millions of dollars. We're talking about bombing a school full of
That's
children.
totally fine.
We're talking about Americans going to die. This is all things that I think are avoidable, and I personally would like to avoid having people die.
Correct.
At the hands of our government, especially
Correct.
when we're dealing with, and pardon me, I know you probably don't agree with this, but I view the Israeli state as a genocidal rogue state.
Okay, genocidal is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But we can get back onto that. We can go down that rabbit hole if you want. But, okay, Iran has killed thousands of Americans.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, through their proxies.
Yes.
They have they're the number one state funding of terrorism. Okay. Great. They've chanted death to America.
Yeah.
They've called America the great Satan and Israel the little Satan.
I don't disagree with
their religion, their religious views.
Listen.
Say that they should not care about their own morality or mortality. Sorry, that they should not care about their own mortality.
Look, you're preaching to the choir.
Okay, so
hostile state to us 100%.
Okay, so should they ever be allowed to get a nuclear weapon?
Listen, no, they shouldn't.
Okay, great. That is not besides the point. That is the sole reason that Trump is saying. Because they have nuclear weapons, and if we bombed them, there would be severe consequences. And that we don't want to get in that relationship with Iran. That would be devastating. That would be terrible.
Using your argument, it'd be easier to justify bombing North Korea because you know why?
No, because that would cause thousands or hundreds of thousands of Americans' deaths. Okay, go ahead.
So you know why? Because while they do have nuclear weapons, they don't have the capability to actually hit the homeland or any meaningful area.
But they also North Korea is a state of like, we have nuclear weapons, just leave us alone. Iran is actively aggressive and wants to end America. They want to end Israel. No, I don't think North Korea wants that. I think North Korea just wants to be left alone. Yes, they want, based off of all their foreign policy actions. Listen, if they wanted to end America, why aren't they trying to develop their nuclear program to then hit America? They aren't. They're still doing missile tests, but there's no intelligence that we have that they're trying to hit America whatsoever. Iran has tried to kill Trump twice. There have been two foiled plots.
Was that proven?
No, Butler. No, not Butler. Two foiled attempts. I don't think they never the two guys that were convicted, by the way, of trying to assassinate Trump for Iran. They never got close as far as like actually firing shots. But there's been two people convicted that and their conviction is on behalf of Iran. So they have tried to kill Trump. They have killed Americans. They hate America. They hate Israel. They're not just...
We should ethnically cleanse them.
No, what?
That's what you're saying.
No, and for that reason, we should take out the regime that believes those things.
But here's the thing. Historically, we know how that goes. We've meddled with our government several times before. We overthrew the original Shah, put in a Shah that was friendly to us. We overthrew Mossadegh, put in another Shah that was friendly to us. And then eventually Khamenei came in, and that's how we got the government that we got. So they are extremely skeptical of having a puppet government installed by us.
That's fine, and that's why Trump continues to say that we are going to, if there's regime change, it's going to be by the people. That it's not going to be the United States.
Just have to, honestly, the best way to get regime change,
No, they were killing hundreds of thousands of their own citizens.
Wait, here's the thing.
What are you talking about?
Hundreds of thousands, the figure I saw was 50,000. Even that
tens of thousands.
Yeah,
You're right.
That figure is highly disputed because human rights organizations on the ground initially said a few thousand, then they raised that up to about 10,000, depending on the
Well, yeah, you know why it's so hard to get a super accurate number?
I know they closed down the internet. They closed everything.
Correct, dude.
The $50,000.
Do they close down the internet because they're trying to,
I'm not arguing with you I'm on your side on this. I'm just trying to.
It doesn't feel like you're on my side.
I'm trying to dispel the propaganda because there's a lot of propaganda around those numbers. Those numbers are actually highly disputed because the 50,000.
Yes, it's actually thought to be a lot more.
It's thought to be a lot more. It's also thought to be a little bit less because the human rights.
Right, if we were to believe Iran.
Listen, I'm not even talking about Iran. I'm talking about human rights organizations on the ground. The 50,000 figure, and the reason why I keep trying to clarify that, it's because it's coming primarily from people who are known for pushing Israeli propaganda online. You have people like Eyal Yacobi and other folks who started pushing that number right off the rip, like from the first day that we got reports that people were getting killed in Iran. It was like 50,000.
The amount of like genetic fallacies is insane.
I'm citing literal things that
No, you're saying the numbers coming from this Israeli propagandist, and so therefore it's not true. Therefore, we shouldn't trust it.
They have a motive to inflate the numbers. They do have a reason to inflate the numbers. I'm citing.
Okay, but then you need actual evidence. Hold on, Dennis. Then you need actual evidence.
Organizations that are on the ground.
Okay, where?
Let
me see the human rights organization that's reporting a lot less, that isn't influenced by Iran. I mean, Dennis, this is ridiculous. Their government.
Now you're building in a genetic fallacy.
How?
That is not influenced by Iran. So I'm supposed to trust the higher figure.
No, that's just to point out the fact that if you want to play this game of, oh my gosh, Israeli propagandists are inflating the numbers, and then you're looking at sources that because you want to try to hold on, because you just
to push that number to be higher, because then they can
sure
have additional justification around. You do understand how that's not necessarily a fallacy. It's just being skeptical.
Sure.
Data.
Of course, everybody has their own interests that they're trying to prove their own worldview. Of course, like Christians are going to look for biblical support and evidence to support the Bible and the resurrection of Christ. Does that mean all the evidence is just, we should just throw it out?
Yeah.
No. I was like, yes, we should throw it out.
I said yes in the sense that I agree with the
so
point
yes, so that's what I'm saying. Then like actually give me counter evidence to that.
I'll show you, because I looked into this. There's
again, it's hard to get a number because Iran had a complete blackout of the internet. Well, you are though, Dennis, because you're looking it up right now. So I don't want to hear that you're not disagreeing with me on this.
Look, listen,
but they killed.
I'll read all the numbers.
Okay.
Just so you can see, this is accepted as disputed fact because they can't come to an agreement.
According to ChatGPT, right?
Brother, you can't just discount. We can look at other sources. We can look at Google. What source will make you feel comfortable? Where should I search
legitimate
this?
websites? But
where should I search this?
But let me see what sources do ChatGPT give you.
Should I just search this on Google? Is that going to be better?
Well, Google has their own AI that pops up. So what sources?
So you don't trust any information.
No, it's not. Well, I don't trust when it comes to AI. When it comes to AI is known to make things up and to lie. And so I always
and if it's a lie, then we can go and double check.
Double check.
See, you don't have to dismiss it immediately before we even look at it.
Okay.
It's kind of like you're preemptively trying to undercut something that I'm doing in good faith, so we can have a grounded discussion.
Well, this is based off context too of you sending me AI screenshots that I look into the source, and it's not accurate. But
okay.
I was saying I would like to see the actual website. I'd like to see the actual website.
In the website. So Iran Human Rights said it had verified at least 3,428 deaths connected to the crackdown unrest in early 2026. Human Rights Watch described the events as mass killings, arbitrary arrests, and enforced disappearances, but did not publish a single final death toll. Opposition-linked outlets such as Iran International reported much higher estimates, including claims exceeding 30,000 deaths during the January 26 repression campaign. Those numbers remain disputed and have not been independently verified by major international monitors. Some Western media and activist groups cited figures in the 7,000 plus range for broader protest-related killings across 25 and 26 period. The Iranian government rejected many of these estimates and released far lower official numbers. So Iran, much lower. So I think, like I said, the point I was trying to make is that the figure is disputed. To just say, you initially said hundreds of thousands. I said
that was me misspeaking. That was me misspeaking.
And then I said 50,000 is the number that gets brought up a lot. And then I scrutinized it, saying I've seen other figures because of the reasons that you cited. You don't get really an objective read on it because we don't even know who's actually on the ground, how they're reporting, how they're counting the deaths. If some of these deaths are being double counted, if the period of time is being stretched to make it seem like it's longer, the methodology isn't really clear. And that's why I think like organizations like Human Rights Watch are choosing to not actually publish a figure. But this is how I've been talking about it.
And
I've been talking about
that's just an indication 3, to me that Iran is trying to hide the fact that they're killing.
We agree. But the way I've been talking about this, let me just wrap this up.
Okay, wrap it up.
The way I've been talking about it is between 3,000 to 50,000, but even one death is too much. Okay? That's how I view it.
Yes, okay. Good.
There shouldn't be anybody being killed at a protest, especially if you're doing it peacefully.
Sure. So, again, Iran kills their own citizens. and they actually take action against the United States, and they have. So they pose a legitimate threat to the United States, and they should never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, actually, let's just add one aspect to this, because like I mentioned earlier, this was actually reported by the Times of Israel. The Mossad was actually on the ground for the last year, attempting to foment an insurrection within Iran. It failed, which is why they eventually.
Would that be bad?
No, but wouldn't you say that could have also led to many deaths?
Well, here's the reality of the world: is that there are things that are going to lead to death. That war will always
interference within.
Hold on, Dennis. There are things that will lead to death. The American Revolution, was it a good thing overall?
That's a false equivalence. You can
question. No.
The Mossad agents on the ground.
Just answer my question, Dennis. Just answer my question.
I said yes, subjectively. Yes.
Okay. So good things can have sacrifice and sacrifice of lives.
False equivalence, brother.
Oh, hold on. You want to say it's a false equivalence, but then you actually have to point out how it is. The principle stands. The principle stands is that yes, death is tragic, but also sometimes death overall leads to the greater good of society.
Like let's take your hypothetical into let's create a hypothetical based on the scenario you just illustrated.
Sure.
Let's say that back in the Revolutionary War, a whole other universe, right? There's this conflict between America and the British Crown. The colonies are upset. The French notice this and they're like, hey, yeah, we could just go in there and destabilize England if we just cause all this ruckus. And they started paying for agents to come in and cause this insurrection here. But instead of there actually being an insurrection here and there being any sort of revolutionary war, just a bunch of Americans end up dying. And then at the end, we're just like, hey, you know what? We actually like the crown. Let's just keep them.
Well, of course.
That's literally what happened in Iran.
No, that's not.
That's literally what happened in Iran. That's literally what happened. And with the added aspect of us going in there and decapitating their entire government, and then them being like, actually, we like those guys even more.
What? Who's saying we like those guys?
No, I'm not saying us. I'm saying the Iranians.
Where is that coming from?
Have they overthrown their government?
No, they're all hiding because
they're all hiding. 90 million people are hiding.
Well, Trump has specifically told them to stay indoors, right?
Trump told Iranians to stay indoors.
Yes,
and
while
they're
bombing.
Oh, yes, President Trump.
While they're in the middle of a war.
American President Trump, you have overthrown our government multiple times. We will obey you.
Have you not seen the footage of Iranians with Trump on posters and all sorts of things like praising
here in
Trump?
America?
No, in Iran.
Brother.
What?
You're eating a bit too much propaganda.
That's your response, really?
It is.
That's your response? Oh, it's just propaganda. Well,
it is.
You're eating a little bit too much Iranian propaganda, Dennis.
There's footage from independent third-party organizations that show that, yes, there's widespread support that coalesced. There were a lot of people that actually hated that government before we decapitated it and inevitably forced them into seeing that they don't want a foreign force, again, meddling with their government. That's the only reason why they coalesce around that government. Why they support it. And look, the support isn't even that widespread. The whole thing is like, when you see Iranians going and literally making human shields around their factories as Israel starts bombing their civilian infrastructure, they start making human shields around their factories and their energy plants.
Where is this coming from?
That literally happened like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I didn't see.
That's why
anything like that.
That's one of the reasons. Like Trump was even like, "You guys got to stop. We're gonna bomb you anyway."
Well, yeah, because we have to take down the regime that poses an existential threat to America.
Them down once they came back, and their people were like, "Hey, let's go."
Came back. They are not back. Their supposed leader hasn't made a public appearance at all.
Yeah, because we're trying to kill him. We have the most powerful military in the world. Imagine hiding from the most powerful military in the world.
Correct.
We can literally throw a microwave where the guy's at. He just explodes.
he's probably dead or like in a coma or seriously injured.
Well, we won't know for a bit. So
yeah,
we can speculate all day. We won't know.
But that's not them coming back super strong. They are weak. The Iranian government is weak right now. Can you admit that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're strong. They lost. Okay. They lost, I think it was just over a third, maybe 40% of their entire government. Their guardian council, whatever it is, they do. The one thing that American media, unfortunately, won't talk about, they did have a line of secession. They did have people that were ready to go and take up power, become the new Ayatollah, become the new part of the they have a council. They have backups on backups.
Okay, and I mean,
they also prepared, the IRGC had a specific plan to fragment and be able to operate as independent cells in order to fight a potential war or ground invasion, be it from Israel or from America. They prepared for this for like 50 years. I'm not saying that they're like the most powerful. We can obviously, if we had the will to do it and there was enough support here in the homeland, we could go in there and take them down as quickly as we did Iraq. Probably even quicker. The whole thing is like, it would, number one, be an unjust war because they didn't necessarily attack us
It's not an unjust war. It's a preemptive war, for sure.
A preemptive war is a preempt. So let's say this, Micah.
What's wrong with preemptive wars?
If we're standing over there, if we're standing here and I like punch you in the face preemptively because I anticipate that you're gonna punch me, is that a justified punch?
Hold on. Preemptive war has to have an actual credible threat to it.
Yeah, but I felt threatened by you. That's why I preemptively punched you in the face.
That's not the definition. It's not a feeling of being threatened. It's an actual credible threat.
So when was the last time that Iran attacked us?
I mean, they've been, again, attacking us through terror proxies for a very long time.
Okay. When was the last time?
I mean, didn't Hamas in October 7th, kill like dozens of American troops?
American troops?
Yes, October 7th.
American troops?
Yes.
Thought it was just civilians, and this was just
maybe it's civilians, but either way, they're Americans. They're Americans.
The attack was, by the way, in Israel. I don't think they were really discerning who was Israeli and who wasn't. They were just capturing people.
It doesn't matter. You just asked me how they.
I'm not making excuses for Hamas.
Sounds like you're making excuses.
I'm not. I
love how you keep saying like I'm not disagreeing with you, but like
listen, brother,
I disagree.
I have to be.
I'm not making excuses, but here's an excuse.
I have to be allowed to paint a factual picture of what happened. You initially said it was American troops. And then you're saying like
it probably was American citizens.
And then you solely went out and then you said like they were hunting for American citizens in Israel. It was very clear that they were hunting Israelis.
Who said
and whether there were Americans in the middle of that.
You just asked me
there was a lady that was German that was in there. There was a lady that was from the Netherlands.
Dennis,
there were people from multiple nationalities.
Dennis, you asked me when the last time they killed an American was. And the last time that I can think
but I'm talking about
October
a targeted
7th.
American attack.
So then you got to clarify that. But regardless.
The target attack on American interests. When was the last time?
On American interests?
And not by proxy, because Hamas is sure, they're funded by Iran. But I'm talking about they directly targeted Americans, American interests, with the explicit goal of expressing aggression at America.
I mean, Iran, again, I mean, I'm just going to go back to my 5 points that I laid out that you seem to agree with, but that doesn't somehow justify the war. That they chanted death to America, that they have wanted a nuclear weapon. And I mean, you agree that that's unacceptable, right?
Should we bomb Somalia then?
Hold on. You agree that that's unacceptable?
Hey, should we bomb Somalia then?
Do you agree that they have tried to kill President Trump? Do you agree that they tried to kill President Trump?
Should we bomb Boko Haram?
Do you agree that they've tried to kill President Trump?
This is the equivalent.
Have they tried to kill President Trump?
Yes.
Really? And they're trying to get nuclear weapons right now?
Look, here's the thing. You want to go with
and they're trying to get nuclear weapons?
Here's the thing. You want to go with the assassination route? Okay. And I'm not saying that any of this is acceptable, by the way, but Obama had more assassination attempts than Trump by aggregate. Yes, he did. And we didn't start wars with any of those countries on behalf of Israel because they tried to kill Obama.
And how many of them are trying to pursue nuclear weapons?
Literally all of them.
All of them, and they all have, 60% enriched uranium. No, they don't. Iran was getting very, very close to a nuclear weapon.
According to Netanyahu, in 1984, they were 2 weeks away. You see that compilation? He's like, they're 2 weeks.
Sure.
No, 2 weeks next week. 2 weeks the week after the next. For 15 years.
Sure. That's not based off of Netanyahu. This is based off U.S. intelligence.
I know,
reports.
but you got to admit, that's a little funny. That for like 25 years, this guy was like saying, oh, they're 2 weeks away. I still don't have them.
Well, yeah, thank God because of President Trump.
I agree. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that.
You liked Operation Midnight Hammer then?
Midnight Hammer was the bunker buster. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Okay.
I thought minimal casualties, if any, zero American casualties. Yeah. You came in, you did the job, you did it in an extraordinary way that really showed American might.
That is interesting. You said minimal casualties because
it was probably
Epic
some
Fury
Iranian.
has pretty minimal casualties.
I mean, minimal casualties in the sense like even by Iranians. Like it was just like whoever was in those bunkers. I don't know how many of those people died. Yeah. I want zero Americans dead at any operation.
Correct. But again, the unfortunate reality of the world is that there are going to be deaths.
And those deaths, in my humble opinion,
justified
those deaths,
in a noble cause.
And here's the thing, maybe we disagree on this, but those deaths, the death of any American in a war field, should only be justified in the sole explicit interest of America. That's the only thing. If there's any foreign nation that drags us into a conflict, I don't agree with that. And we fundamentally see the war as something different, as the intention in getting into the war is something different. And perhaps that's why you see it as as these deaths were somehow justifiable in the war field. But I don't think that we're there for explicitly American interests. And we read the same things, but we have different interpretations, which is fine. It's just how the world works. But I see Marco Rubio walking it back as a bit of a cope. I see Speaker Johnson walking his statement back, a bit of a cope. And I really don't like the idea that we put ourselves at risk. We put our service members at risk, and we unnecessarily opened up a new war front with a nation that's highly hostile. For reasons that I don't.
They're highly hostile, but I mean, again, we've had minimal casualties. Despite that, we've taken out a lot of their military and have weakened the government completely.
They're still fighting.
Yeah, of course, they're still fighting, and they're acting like a country that's on their last leg because they are. Yes,
I mean, if they were on their last leg, they would have negotiated. They would have taken the.
No, dude. Again, remember their ideology says that it is better to be a martyr, right?
They're still fighting.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
I hate to have to appeal to the Templars, but you do know that there were several battles that it was like 5,000 Templars versus like 500,000 Turks, and the Templars just whooped them just purely because of that spirit.
Sure, but I don't think it's going to apply here with the American military.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that these guys aren't going to give up.
And we didn't
need to start this.
And they may not. And then we're going to wipe them out. And they're not going to learn from their predecessors. Because
the problem that I have too is that
dead.
Is this Israeli policy of just bombing civilian infrastructure like right off the rip. I don't see that as useful at all.
Okay, the problem is when civilian infrastructure is like right next to or used as military operations. Like the schoolgirls.
Yeah.
Tragic. Terrible. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's horrific. It was right next to a military base.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was next to six. It was actually next to 6 other buildings.
And that school building used to be used for military operations. So, is it a mistake that should never have happened? Absolutely. Is it somewhat understandable for how someone could have gotten confused on that? Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, that is a problem when your opponent, when this country and Hamas and their other terror proxies use civilian places as military operations.
You could argue that about America too. I mean, we have Navy bases near schools, and
which is why war always has civilian deaths, and why war is terrible, and why we should
but in the
try
case,
to not get into wars.
But in the case of Israel, it does seem like it's a bit targeted. I understand. I think it's absolutely awful, but I in the case of like the school, especially when you look at the map and you see all the places that were targeted, and you see that the one missile that went, like there was one military building of theirs that was left up, and the missile went into the school. So they kind of, I guess, I don't know if they moved or whatever it was, but it was clear that they fired enough missiles to take out every military building in that area. And for some reason, we hit that school. Now, by contrast, you see the IDF, the Israeli military, just completely carpet bombing villages in Lebanon under the justification that beneath them, there are tunnels that Hezbollah is using. And these are like the last vestiges of Christian communities in southern Lebanon. They're getting blown up. They literally blew up St. Peter's tomb. Simon Peter's tomb blown up for the second time in a decade and a half.
Peter's tomb is in Lebanon?
Was in southern Lebanon, yes.
Are you sure about that?
I can bring it up again.
I mean, you can. I'm not really. It was in Lebanon?
Simon Peter's.
Maybe I'm thinking of Paul. I thought it was in Rome.
No.
Okay.
It's a mausoleum.
Maybe I'm thinking about Paul.
Mausoleum. No, Paul is in. I know James. I've seen St. James at. He's in Spain.
I'm pretty sure Paul is definitely in Rome.
Here.
I mean, either way, again, it's hard when the enemy is using civilians as shields.
So, Israel did damage and reportedly destroy a shrine in southern Lebanon known as Maqam Shamoun al-Safa during the 2024 Lebanon conflict. They just blew it up again. But some local traditions identify that with St. Peter. So I think that was...
Yeah, I don't think it's his tomb.
Here, let me get the exact...
But, I mean, that's kind of besides the point. Again, they're using civilians as shields. So why is the criticism so harsh against Israel and not against Hezbollah that's using these people as shields?
Oh, no, the criticism is equal for them.
Okay.
I mean, I've been equally critical
how
of
is
Hamas.
Israel supposed to defend itself then?
I mean, number one, if you actually agree to a ceasefire, actually abide by it, don't break it within 45 minutes of agreeing to a ceasefire.
Okay. Let's say you're in Bibi Netanyahu's shoes. Okay.
Terrible shoes to be in, by the way.
How do you go about, after October 7th, how do you go about defending your country?
Well, one way of doing it is not ethnically cleansing an entire area.
How are they ethnically cleansing Gaza?
How are they not? Have you seen the pictures? Have you seen the pictures of the roads? How just do you understand like the whole argumentation around? And obviously, this is more of a leftist thing argumentation. I take more of the position of like, they can do whatever they want with their land. I have a concern as a Catholic, which is something that historically has been expressed by previous popes when they met with Herzl and the initial Zionists, that how the treatment of Catholic and Christian heritage in the region, and they have blown up churches. There's video of them ripping apart St. George statues. The thing is that there's a concern. I mean, there was just a video a week ago of a nun getting pushed over, right, and kicked by a guy. I mean,
yeah.
So there was an explicit concern.
Go to prove this like larger claim that like Christians are hated in Israel or they're targeted in Israel and they experience all this hate. I mean, these are just anecdotal evidence, pieces of evidence that don't actually prove the actual claim that you're trying to make.
Sorry, I was looking for the mausoleum
That's fine.
It got blown up again. It was in 24. It's the first time it got blown up.
Okay.
It's a mausoleum. It's just identified with Simon Peter. His actual body, his actual tomb is
again,
in
it's tragic.
St. Peter's Basilica.
World War II, lots of buildings were blown up. Churches were destroyed. It happened. Like, yeah, it's not great. But again, does it mean that like Allied forces were therefore,
no, we got in there.
That?
We avoided that war. We got in there to end it, and we did.
Yeah, well, and yeah, absolutely. But again, does that mean we were unjustified because there were tons of Germans that were killed and churches that were blown up? And
I mean, you get to a certain point, and if there's an aggressive, hostile force that's destroying an entire continent, and it's in our interest to stop that force because clearly our allies are incapable of holding themselves. That London's getting shelled for years on end without being able to get, so yeah, I mean, we had to step up and finish out the job. Otherwise, Europe would be speaking German right now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah,
here's the
our
difference.
Allies were being attacked. We were being attacked.
It's not a one-to-one comparison.
Okay.
It's not a one-to-one comparison because, number one, the conflict with Lebanon wasn't even happening until this front with Iran started, and then Israel opened up this front in Lebanon, started bombing southern Lebanon. The situation with Gaza, I understand the whole thing with Hamas. There's like this whole aspect of what is an appropriate response, what's the appropriate scale, and look, it's urban warfare. It's not going to look like open field. Like Revolutionary warfare,
sure.
Right? You have buildings and you have civilians in the middle, and you have these terrorist forces that are purposely embedding themselves in these buildings and this infrastructure in order to, try to prevent as like a deterrent from any military from taking, full force. Sort of action, right? Because number one, it looks bad. It looks like you're just blowing up civilians.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are strategic ways that you can do that.
Sure, like you
don't have to just blow up buildings and double tap and do double tap strikes at hospitals.
Blowing up a bunch of pagers, right? I'm just saying the Israeli military has gone above and beyond when it comes to like targeted attacks. Like that's probably as targeted as you possibly can be. Mm-hmm. Yet they're still criticized over and over and over again.
As they should be.
And that's fine. Like it's fine to criticize. I'm not disagreeing with your right to, but also you eventually just have to take a look and be like, okay, like why am I so harshly criticizing Israel here?
Oh, listen,
as opposed to the terrorists that they're defending their nation from.
So two different things. We're not funding those terrorists. It's not our bombs that those terrorists are using to blow kids up. Number two, I'm equally, as you've seen from our whole conversation here, I'm equally critical of our leaders who are making those decisions. Okay? If we're going to send money...
I'm not talking about our leaders. I'm talking about the terrorist groups.
I'm critical of them too, but we're not funding them. We're not, obviously we trained Al-Qaeda, we did all these other things. That's a different conversation of
we're not funding
CIA.
them, but we are funding them. That's still hilarious.
That's a whole other conversation of the CIA training those guys, but I'm saying like we are actively funding, we're giving Israel these bombs, we're actively giving them cover, we're giving them diplomatic cover. Of course, that comes with a lot of scrutiny. And the scrutiny isn't, and here's the thing, a lot of the times with this conversation, the people who are arguing on behalf of Israel, and you haven't done this, which I appreciate, but people who are arguing on behalf of Israel try to make this an identity thing. No, this is purely because we're sending our tax dollars to this country. We're funding these conflicts. We're giving them diplomatic cover internationally, and we're providing them military support.
That's fine.
So,
but you,
of course, that's going to come with a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah, sure, and there can be scrutiny on these things. But the problem is that you take that scrutiny and then you say it's an unjust war.
I do believe it's an unjust war, especially
right. So then,
can we define what a just war is?
Hold on. But then that's my point. Is then you're not looking at Hamas at that point. Like again, Dennis, you're Bibi Netanyahu. How do you defend your nation after October 7th? How do you do it?
I'll define what a just war is, because
you're not going to answer.
What? I'll tell you exactly.
Okay, how?
So Catholicism actually has a concept of just war.
Yes.
Riley's actually calling me right now.
Theory.
So just cause, war must be for defense against real aggression, protection of innocent life, or preventing grave evil.
Correct.
Okay, so that the grave evil happened, right? You're preventing further great evil.
Yes.
Legitimate authority, only lawful governing authorities may declare war.
Israel.
The Israeli state has a governing authority.
Sure.
Right intention. The goal must be justice and peace, not revenge, conquest, hatred, or profit. I would say that the response to Gaza, it bared a lot on revenge and conquest, because there is an expansionist measure and aspect to it, and you hear it in what Netanyahu said a couple days ago, where he said, we've taken 60% of Gaza, we want that to be 90% before the end of the year. And there are plans, obviously this is more in the speculative, conspiratorial aspect of it, but there are plans of what a lot of people have said. And I'm not talking about the Greater Israel Project, because it's something that people talk about, but there are plans to use Gaza as a port to effectively take out the control that the Strait of Hormuz has as far as access that Europe and other regions of the world have for oil. So it's that's one aspect of it. Last resort. Great. Now, the next aspect of it, last resort, all realistic, diplomatic, and peaceful options must have been exhausted. You could argue that that was the scenario with Palestine, with Gaza and Hamas and Israel at the time. You could also argue opposite of that, but I think most people would agree that it was seen as a last resort. And the argument, I would say, as far as it not being a last resort, are the testimonies of IDF soldiers who said that they got a stand-down order for 2 hours. This is something Charlie Kirk talked about. This isn't made up. This is actual testimony. The IDF soldiers were told to stand down while their people were being slaughtered. This is a country the size of New Jersey. They could have been there in half a split of a second, and they didn't do anything. So that is a little suspicious that, they were obviously conspiratorial, hypothetical, but that it was allowed to go on for as long as it did to create a justification for war, right? That's obviously, I'm basing it off of the data that I have. Probability of success. A war should not be launched if it is hopeless and will create more destruction. I mean, you could argue that there was a probability of success, but it only ended up creating more destruction, because all you see is basically a parking lot. Now,
of course, it creates more destruction.
The next
it's
aspect,
probability of winning the war, which is very high for Israel.
Yeah. The next aspect is proportionality. The expected good must outweigh the harm caused by war. I would say displacing 2 million people is harm. I understand casualties, but displacing 2 million people and completely destroying, to the point where most estimates were that it would take decades to clean up that area so people still would be inhabitable again. That is not proportional at all. Discrimination / non-combatant immunity. Civilians should not be intentionally targeted. So that war in and of itself fails, depending on the aspects and how we're going, at a minimum 2, at maximum 4 of these just war.
No, I don't. I mean, you already admitted in the other 2 that they're pretty conspiratorial. So I don't think we need to focus on those. But what you would say the last 2?
The last 2 were proportionality, discrimination / non-combatant immunity, and and I would say it wasn't necessarily conspiratorial. But I guess just cause could be something that could be argued. But if you want to just go with those 2, the last 2.
Okay, so that would be a whole other debate. I won't get into that. Okay, so proportionality. The problem is, again, you have a terrorist group that loves to integrate with their citizens. So, I mean, again, I'll ask you the question again, Dennis. How are you defending Israel as their prime minister?
Targeted strikes. You don't take out as few civilians as possible. Don't flatten it out the way they did. Because the argument you're making is inevitably meaning that you will, the last one, which is non-combatants, you're going to lose that one. So it'll be an unjust war regardless, because it's impossible
Israel
to have
has
proportionality.
Targeted civilians.
In many respects, yes.
They have said we want to kill civilians. They've
done double tap strikes on several targets. I mean, they've done strikes where they'll strike an area that has civilians that are being used as human shields, and then you get the first responders. They'll double tap it. So you also have to consider the end result, which is the amount.
I mean, you said it right there that they're being used as human shields. I mean, again, this is the whole thing. They're not intentionally trying to kill the civilians, Dennis.
Again, so you do a targeted strike instead of blowing up. I mean, you look at the
targeted strikes, though, are in civilian areas. Like that is the whole problem. Like this is the whole problem.
So let me show you
with
something.
The war.
Let me show you something, and you tell me if this is targeted.
And I'm not gonna say that Israel is perfect either. Like,
okay, now you're walking that back.
No, I never said Israel was perfect. I'm just gonna say.
Does this look targeted to you? Does this look targeted?
I mean,
does it totally flattened?
I mean, here's the problem. They're integrated throughout the whole city,
the whole place, they have to blow up the whole country, folks, because it's that's
they're
all
not
Hamas.
Blowing up the whole
thing was Hamas right here. The whole thing. You ever see that video of the guy? Here, let's bring that one up. Gaza after. Right here, guys. This. Where is this? Right here. This was all Hamas, by the way. That was all Hamas. Mm-hmm. That was all Hamas right there. That was every single person in that what looks like 50,000 people were living just in that little block right there. All of them were Hamas. Every single one of them.
Okay. I think Dennis, you're saying you want to do targeted strikes.
Targeted strikes.
As Bibi Netanyahu, I think you're gonna be accused of the very same things that you're accusing Israel of.
Let's do an equivalence then. Why hasn't Russia done the same thing with Ukraine?
What do you mean?
Why hasn't Russia done the same thing with Ukraine?
Why
isn't all of that entire area that they're fighting in Ukraine? Why isn't that all just flattened out?
Well, I think a lot of Ukraine is pretty flattened out now.
No, you see pictures
but also Ukraine is not Hamas.
Oh, okay.
Are they? You think they act like Hamas? Ukraine.
Bro, they're literally flying DJI drones with grenades. I'm not justifying either way here. Obviously, I always have to qualify this.
What?
But I'm not comparing Ukraine's force.
I'm
not comparing Ukraine's force to Hamas. I'm saying this is a warlike scenario. We're talking about indiscriminate bombing. I'm talking about precision strikes, and I'm talking about having the restraint to not flatten an entire region, right? I'm talking about the similarity in strikes, a similarity in how these forces are operating. Hamas is very guerrilla. Hamas is embedding themselves within
is Ukraine
civilian
doing
infrastructure. That? Ukraine is very much using civilian apparatus and civilian I don't even know if it's methods. They're just basically getting DJI drones, attaching grenades to it, and flying it into buildings in Russia.
I don't see how that's comparable to Hamas at all. I just don't even know what your point is with that.
I'm trying to compare two different wars and how that you don't have to do this. Okay, you don't have to, like we were talking about taking out. How can any civilian live here? Like, you don't even see it goes to the horizon.
I mean, dude,
it's from here to the horizon.
Have you seen photos of Germany, like in World War II?
Yeah, you thought that was good?
No, I don't think war is good.
You think all those civilians deserve to die?
No, but I think it's justified.
So why are we trying to justify it?
Because
if we're taking out a terroristic force,
hold on.
Do we have to kill all the civilians?
No.
Do we have to kill? Here's a question.
Did they kill all the Palestinians?
Let's say this.
Did we kill all of the Germany?
Let's do an equivalence. Okay, let's do another equivalence. Let's say that we have. I hate to have to draw an equivalence similar like this, but let's say that we have this house that we're in, right? let's say that there's a raccoon infestation in this house, right?
Okay.
And there's like 10 raccoons here, but this house is used to house a bunch of dogs. It's like used during the daytime as a kennel. The raccoons are just in the roof, right? We have 10 raccoons, and then we have hundreds of dogs that are in a kennel here. Do you think it's reasonable to kill every single dog that's in the lower level so we can kill 200 dogs to kill the 10 raccoons upstairs?
The example is not even close to being equivalent, because even in what you brought up as what is just war, it even says that civilian casualties is okay.
It doesn't say it's okay.
No, they cannot be intentional. You can't intentionally
Civilians should not be intentionally targeted.
Intentionally.
Do you think this is unintentional? Oh, by accident, we just bombed an entire neighborhood.
I'm not saying the bombing is by accident. The civilian casualties is not intentional.
This does not look unintentional, okay? Bombing an entire city.
Okay.
Wiping it off the map is not unintentional, okay? One building is standing up. Look at this, dude. Look at this. Look at how small people are in comparison.
Was this justified? Was World War II justified?
Absolutely not.
World War II was not justified.
The bombing of civilian areas absolutely not justified.
So you can never, ever bomb civilian areas, even if your enemies...
You should avoid it in all circumstances. You should avoid it in
all circumstances.
In all circumstances, yes.
So you as Bibi Netanyahu would just never take out Hamas, because Hamas would be like, oh, well, Dennis doesn't touch any civilian areas, so we're just going to hide there and he'll never get to us. He'll never touch us.
Brother, there are so many ways you can send in specialized forces the same way that we took out Maduro in Venezuela, and we didn't kill any civilians. Notice how we didn't kill any civilians taking out Maduro.
That was one leader.
Notice how we just...
That was one leader. That wasn't the whole Venezuelan government. For one leader who wasn't...
We took out the highest leader in the government with
one leader
minimal
in his
casualties.
House, in his own house. We came and we captured him. We did not take out the entire government and the entire military.
No, we did that with Iran. We did that with Iran.
With no civilian casualties.
Minimal casualties.
On the American side, yes, but there are still Iranian civilian casualties.
Oh, so you're saying we killed civilians in Iran?
Yes, that's just a fact. Why would I disagree with that?
Let me see that. We're going to have to leave it at that. Or otherwise, we're going to have to keep going. Like, how long have we been going for 2 hours?
We've been going for 2
hours. You got to go home. No, there's no trash bag in those.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can just throw it out in the other one. Anyway, Mike, I appreciate you. This was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
I did have fun. Oh man, tiring though, man. You're tiring. You tire me out, man.
How do I tire you out?
Oh, geez, I already explained the reasons. But.
Okay. Well, we should do a part 2 because this is, and I'd like to get this. Does Nick live in LA or near LA? Okay, I'd like to get him out here and debate him. You think he'd do that?
I'm sure if you paid for his travel.
Paid for his travel?
Dude, he'd probably have to get a
Isn't there to come down here?
They're supposed to be, right? Oh gosh.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. Do you want to say like do you want to plug your socials or how people can find you?
Oh, sure. You can. All my socials are the same. It's just Micah Kunkle, MICAHKUNKLE. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
Cool. Yeah, check him out. He's a great debater. He's a great guy. I like Micah. We've been debating for a long time before this time. This is the first time we recorded it. But every time we see each other, we debate. Even in a debate that's meant to be with somebody else.
I love debating groypers.
I'm not a groyper, you fucking dick. I knew you were going to bring that one up. All right. Well, I guess that's got to end.
You're a Holocaust denier.
I'm not a Holocaust denier. I'm literally saying it happened.
You're an anti-Semite.
Hey,
dude, I walked in and you had a shrine to Nick Fuentes in your house.
I didn't. I have the American flag outside the house. That's all I have.
Dude, you were praying to Nick Fuentes when I walked in. It was crazy. You had the whole little Catholic candle and everything. It was insane.
I actually don't do that stuff. That's like more Santeria type stuff. You know what I have?
But you'll do it for Nick Fuentes.
I will not do it for Nick. The only thing I I have this. You want to see? You know what this is?
Dude, is that signed by Nick?
Fucking,
There's a signature right there.
fucking faggot. No, it's not. It's Saint Michael the Archangel, and it's Jesus. And it says, "Father, forgive them."
Okay, well,
Father, behold this heart, forgive them, which has so loved men.
Dennis, before
I forgive
the
you,
camera,
Micah, for misrepresenting me.
before the cameras were turned on, you told me that if
Okay.
you were going to be gay, it was going to be for Nick Fuentes.
Oh, shut up, dude.
It's
Okay,
crazy.
I'm just gonna end
it's
it.
crazy.